Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. I don't know if you follow me or not, if you ever heard of me or not. I've been doing shows for many years, multiple people, multiple different kind of shows as well. Used to lecture with somebody years ago in the late 90s to 2002, roughly. All right, what I found, truth is like the most important thing. At least it should be. Second to that, what is important in life? Well, if you studied as much as I did, I'm not bragging, I'm just saying I spent my whole life studying different paths, trying to get to the truth, finding the truth, and then going beyond it. Where's the truth end? Where's the truth start? Well, it shouldn't start in this lifetime, and it sure won't end in this lifetime. But what did you attain in any lifetime about it? What are you doing with what you know? What are your intentions? What are your plans? I'm going to hit everything up as much as I can today. All right. You might like the show. If you don't, I'm sorry. Sign off. If you like it, please send a link to everybody else you know. All right. The main topic, which seems to be the most important word on the planet, is love. Religions basically say everything revolves around love. Relationships, everything revolves around love. Everything you're programmed, love is the answer, or it should be the answer. Now, to what? Love is the answer to what? Life or death? I'm going to go into both sides of that. Because few people, and I'm going to say this straight out, few people understand the difference. What does love have to do with life, and what does love have to do with death? Well, we can go into the idea, what does love even mean? Well, it probably means something different to every single person on this planet. The level of love they ever experienced, the level of love they will ever know. The love that they lose, the love that they keep. Where's it get them? What will it help in their future, in the present? Well, to be happy in this world right now, people say you need love. And it doesn't even have to be of a person. It could be of an animal, a cat, a dog, which some people it is, because they're kind of getting old and there's nobody around. They don't have too many people in their family. And family, is that the answer to love? Of course not. Controlling love in relationships. I get persecuted because I watch Bachelorette, The Bachelor, and those kind of movies and shows and everything. I watch Naked and Afraid. I watch all of them. Why? First question, why would I watch all those kind of shows? Because it shows you the level of awareness people have but don't have. Now, where do you go in life to learn what you're here for? Nowhere. You're told by many people what life's about, what it should be about, why you're here, what your mission. You find your mission. Who can help you find your mission? People telling you to make money. That's where people usually look for their money. Look for their mission, purpose in life. What are they getting out of life? Money, fame, and power. Seems to be the most powerful out of all the things you could search for in this world. Meaningful to the rich. All right. Now, when we start off as a child, our parents teach us how much about love? Very little. What did they teach you about love? What did they teach you even how to speak? Did they teach you about those kind of words? You might hear your mother or father say, I love you, I love you. What does that mean? They're only words. How do you show love? What's the symbols? What's the characteristic? And what are the effects of love? Emotional breakdown? Emotional happiness? How does it affect you? depending how strong it is, your desires. Where does it get you in life? Looking for that perfect relationship. Number one, thinking that you have to love the world, love everybody on it. A sad situation. Now, with the changing of awareness from a God to a, what is the word? Universal or higher energies, higher attitude based on universal energy, based on the universe, solar system. And then when you limit it, which a lot of paths, like native paths and takeoff paths about that, what? The goddess? Goddess is important. Well, everything you hear, everything you're going to listen to from anybody outside on mainstream is a programmed idea. Has nothing to do with a God, nothing to do with the purpose of life. All you're going to hear, and you're going to pay money on top of money on top of money to get the stupid answer, which is a lie. Why are you here? What can you do? What do you need? I'm dealing with the greatest psychics on the planet, greatest spiritualists, supposedly, UFO people, you name it. Religionists, they're all different in a lot of ways, and they're all the same in another, meaning they have very little truth. Now, when we talk about religions, it's a program. Somebody created a program and said, this is what my religion is. This is what yours will be if you follow it. Sadly, that kind of went off mainstream the second the person that runs it or dies or somebody else takes over it, or they bring more people into it. Any religion has lost its way. Now, we can go through one, or each one of them. Well, I'm only going to go through a few of them. Not that I don't know them, but the few that most people respect and honor or say are important. Christianity. And you got Catholics and Protestants. The Jewish religion. Hinduism. Muslim. All right, I'm going to stop there for right now. Buddhism and Hinduism one came from the other. What was their foundation? Go back of the first religion on this planet. Now, I'm going to eliminate all the lies, like the whole story about the Anunnaki and everything else. I'm not saying they weren't a race of people. They were never God. They were never spiritual. They were never aware. They were never aware of who and what their purpose was, nor what God is. So that didn't bring us very far. Now, the race of aliens that came here, there's about 9 main ones. The ones that people should be worried about, not happy and waiting to say hi. The reptilian race, the draconians, the Nordics, the mantis. Now, the tall whites are a little bit different. The Andromedans are a little different. The Pleiadians are, here's the definition of Pleiadians. They are us from the future. Simple. All right, they look like us. Maybe their hair's a little more wild, a little more abstract in the way they dress. They gave up their way we perceive dressing or the dress code. But the grays, there's 5 different gray kind of aliens. Short ones, and even some tall ones. All right. But there's a few other races that we don't deal with. The crystal race. I'm not going to go into spiritual people because I'm going to take it back to Atlantis, but I want to go back before that first, like back to Hinduism, when religions were created. The word deities came out. You know what a deity is? Very few people have a clue. Religions that follow deities pray to them. Now, the viewpoint you will get from that is they're our higher self. Really? Or they're a being, a super powerful being. I call them little gods. They have more power than angels do. But they each have their own set of what they became aware of, a meaning of what and who and where that they are, their purpose, their reasons. And everything can create a reason for something. Whether it's the right reason or not is a different story. All right. As we go into the different deities, there's a few famous ones. And if you read about them, even the story about Shiva is a twisted one. There's two sides to it. One's completely opposite of the other. Shiva being the creator, destroyer god. I mean, if you read one of the stories, Durga, another goddess deity, kills Shiva and cuts his head off while they were making love. All right, now love's going to squeeze into it greatly because Hinduism was into sex at every level. Kama Sutra is like their teachings of sex, and they go into sexual positions and ways and things and everything else combined to that. All right. You go into tribal people, it was sexual, and it wasn't. No aspect of love, no word of love fit into any of these things. Energy was what Hinduism started bringing into with Kama Sutra and Tantra. All right. Saying it brings you to God, brings you into a higher energy to this reality, no other. Sex is limited to the physical and the astral plane. Is it needed? No. Is it desired? Yes. And on this planet, it's the most desired object, form, sense, feeling that anyone can have. Above all things, no matter how they get it. And there's many ways to get it. I mean, perversions of it are out there, and I experienced watching it and seeing it in many levels. I watch everything. I watch what mankind does, how, to women, children, relationships to animals. I mean, men are animals in every way that you could possibly think of. I mean, even when I was in school, electronic school after high school, and we had Spanish people and Cuban people and different kinds of tribal people in our class. And for kicks, they used to have sex with a pig, you know. And then if you hear the original story of Queen Liz, sex with a horse, which they say she did, prove it. You know, the facts are coming from somewhere, and people make up stories. Wow, they take the truth and twist it to fit whatever they want it to mean. All right. Sex. How important is sex really? To what? To happiness? All right. When we talk about love, do love and sex go together? Yes. Are they separate? Yes. Do they mean the same thing? No. All right. What do men want in a relationship? More sex than love, I guarantee it. The love part is, well, we made love, so she loves me. I say make love. I don't have sex. Most people will say, well, we had sex. Okay. Depending on how you look at it. Now, the idea of sex through eternity was to produce a child, not sexual pleasure. Animals and creatures do it, what, twice, 2 times season changes and things like that. They don't do it every day. I'm not saying that they can't or some don't, but it's not general. But in man's reality, the older they get, the less it becomes part of their reality. I mean, maybe they desire it more, but they're not up to it, or the relationship's not up to it, or they don't even have a relationship to fill it in with. All right. I'm going to go into some hardcore details a little bit later, but until we get there, I want you to think what love means to you. Well, I love my aunt, I love my children, I love my cousins, I love my cat, I love my dog, I love the trees, I love the forest. What do you really love? I love it all. Why? You love a rock? When you say love all things, do you love all things and why? Is it beneficial to your growth? Sorry. Is it beneficial to your awareness? Is it helping you become more aware? Well, when you decide your mission in life here on the planet, it's what's your goal with that mission? To get money, to have a nice car, to have a nice home, to have a wife and children. Is there many things outside of that in general? Out of 7.4 billion people, I mean, more people more concerned with eating, but they still have sex and have children. Is something missing there? Love. You don't bring a child into a world that's sick and disgusting and falling apart. Why would you? Because you love them? You don't even have them yet, and you're bringing them into a horrible place to start off with. That's not love. And now it's a little bit different than when I was younger, because when I was younger, everybody I knew had children that didn't want them, didn't plan for them. Oh, we're pregnant. How did you just get pregnant? Did you just have sex? Oh, well, yeah. Were you using any kind of precaution, pills or anything? No. Well, it's like taking out a gun with bullets and shooting at things. You're going to kill something. Well, I didn't know it was loaded. Well, if there's bullets in it, it's called loaded. When a man has sex with a woman, they're loaded with something that produces children. So man can't even figure out the simple things of life and relationships. What a relationship is really for. Have sex and be happy? When you talk about love, has to relate to happiness. Happiness has to relate to your feelings, which means your body feels good, your mind feels good, your thoughts feel okay. Now, when you talk to psychiatrists about love, what do they know? Nothing, because nobody knows much about love to begin with. Now, I'm going to break it down real simple. Love only means one thing. One thing. Nothing else, nothing more. We change it to mean everything. Love is your understanding of God. Nothing goes beyond that. Nothing. Nothing in this world, next world, or any of the other worlds that you'll go through to get into the higher worlds where God dwells. If you don't believe in God, guess what? You're losing 90% of what love even means. Here, oh, she touched me. It feels so good. I touched her. It feels so good. Her lips are so sweet. My lips are sweet to her. I mean, whatever you're with a person, male or female, even that is based on certain things. It's based on programmed ideas, which the mind accepts. I want to go into things that you don't want to hear. And one of them is when we reincarnate, whether you believe it or not, you do. And you have been for many, many times. Now, what were you when you first came here? A person, not a rock, not a tree, not a stone. Soul doesn't move into a rock. Oh, everything's not alive. Not alive where it has a soul. So when you become aware as a soul, all right, could have been an alien, but they lack another major thing called compassion, feelings, emotions, which the human body has many. We have 5 senses. And they're all different senses that act differently under different stress and emotions and situations. They get stimulated, they get taken down, they get broken apart, and they even become your enemy. And what would drive that to become your enemy? In all these stories, whatever you hear, there's a foundation for it. Killing, murder, rape, abuse. It comes out of something. It just doesn't magically appear. And I'll tell you by the facts that I know personally, by the people I have been around over my life and my past lives as well. It's called sexual abuse in some form, some way. It could be by your mother, your father, or friends. It happens when you're little, it happens when you're middle aged, or it happens when you're old even. And I'll tell you this, it doesn't ever, ever, ever disappear. You can tell yourself 1,000,000,000 times over and over that it's not real. It didn't happen, but it did. You can tell yourself 10,000,000,000,000 times it's never going to bother you again, and it always will. The subconscious mind is hard to clean out. If you clean it out, in this reality, you don't have nothing to stand on then. Because all it has is those perverted, twisted thoughts that stay in the consciousness. And when people say you're the consciousness, where all consciousness is delusional, they have no truth, no experience, no direct experience with it. Buddha, Gandhi, all those so-called spiritual people, Sai Baba, Sri Chinmoy. I can name some of them. I know most of them. What they say, what they did, and what they brought out, what they claim. Love is not the answer for anything. As a matter of fact, it takes you away from the truth. Now, I'm going to talk about something that I never did a show on or really ever wanted to. Why am I in this lifetime right now? Oh, well, we have some karma to work out. We have this. No, not for me. Maybe for you. Karma usually rides with everybody, and that's why they have to come back. Now, let me explain this. Your past lives are important. Very few people have any understanding of them. Maybe a glimmer of one of the past lives or something like that. But if you track them all, you'll see the steps in awareness that you attained. If any, did you attain something? Now, I listen to these spiritual people go on, from the highest to the lowest. To me, they're all the same. They're all talking about man's ego and controlling it in some form, brainwashing it into believing that it's something important, something real. Love is delusional. It's an illusion in this reality, accepted as real. Now, when Buddha says we're not really here, nothing's real, well, in some way it's true, but in another way it's a complete lie. We are soul, every single one of us. That means something without this body, not the mind, not the brain, not the heart, not the liver, the kidneys, or any part of this body is a part of soul. Now, the soul communicates to the brain. The brain is a storage bank, not an interdimensional being or entity. It stores programs, and then it tries to run the programs together, probably the most complex computer that was ever created or will ever be created. By the way it functions and thinks, no matter what they do with a computer, it's going to be based on the programs that's fed into it. Period. How great or how simple they are. Now, they always say a computer can't be programmed to kill, which it can be, real simple. In hypnosis, let's get that straight. I started when I was 12. I was hypnotizing all my friends by the time I was 14. I did group hypnosis at 14 or 15. I was going to go into it as stage magic, and I decided not to, because I don't want to make people look more like a fool than what they really are. You go to a college, they used to hire magicians a lot, hypnotists, to make each other look like fools. I don't want to get into it. But Kreskin, one of the greatest known magician hypnotists, mind readers in the United States, said hypnosis is just a form just a form of a suggestion. And he called it the power of suggestion. Hitler controlled his country by the power of suggestion. Trump was controlling the world by his own suggestions to the world. Seeing his face 100 times a day, hearing his stupid ideas every time, all day long. That's called programming. People love him, no matter what he did. If people would have been killed in the White House, would anybody care? No. And if the vice president was killed, would they hold anybody accountable? No. They would turn around and say it was a mob, not the programmed ideas that man has been fed by Mr. Trump. Do you realize what he said weeks before it happened? He even said the storm is going to be so big and it's going to hit so hard. What was he talking about, people? Do you listen to everything he said? No. Do you listen to what anybody says? No. You hear what you want, you change it into what you want it to be, and then you go out there in the world saying, well, I know what you think you know. So love is part of anything? Well, I love being around somebody. I love being with somebody. You love being with them. In a relationship, sadly to say, how many people can live 24/24 together? The virus is proving that it's not a good thing. More people are fighting, more home problems, more fights in homes daily because of that. I know it personally. When you stay around somebody and you're not truly aware of anything, everything becomes more of a problem. Especially if you don't know why you're here. And it's definitely not what you think it is. And now listen to these people. That's what I do. I write letters all day long. I write. I'm on my 5th book. I write and I listen. I used to lecture a lot. I do my shows. I'm not doing this to get publicity. I'm not doing this to get a following. People that need a following are already in a sad space, thinking that they can control and lead people somewhere. The old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. You can't teach a person about love. You can't teach a person about death. You can't teach a person about God. So what can you teach a person about that's important? How to build a house. How to tear down a house. How to get a job. What kind of job are you going to get? Is it beneficial to the human race? Are there many jobs out there that are really beneficial to the human race? Well, whatever one person does, there's another person creating the opposite. That's the supposedly law of balance on planet Earth, which is not a perfect law because it doesn't work right on planet Earth. They said for every action, there's a negative and opposite reaction, which is a lie. What goes up must come down. No, that's not true at all either. All the things you're programmed to believe about theories and ideas are lies. Into space, it will never stop until it hits something. Never. Movement in space is void of friction, so it will keep going. Sorry. The only thing that'll stop it is if something blocks it and it jams into it. So it's not going to fall back to Earth, ever. If you put it up at a certain level in our magnetic field, it will come back to Earth. So the theories that these idiots come out with because, I was sitting under a tree and an apple hit me on the head, we come up with theories. Einstein was wrong about many things. Sorry to tell you that, scientists and doctors and lawyers that believe stupid things. Tesla was close to the truth in some ways. He wasn't a brain. He wasn't super smart. He was working with an alien race that gave him technology that's going to destroy the planet. He said himself, well, mankind's not going to be ready to use the stuff wisely. Well, you give them 50 weapons, what do you think they're going to do with them? Throw them away? I doubt it. Quantum physics took us into a whole new level of awareness, dimensional energy, and you name it. But it destroyed our real reality, creating a new one. Is it better? No, it's not. We never can make something better. When it was created, it was the best it could be. We only take away from everything that's here. Whether it's a relationship, food, you name it. We take away from it. We don't add to it. For every disease we think we cure, we create 2 or 3 more that will come out after it. Fact. This whole virus thing, I don't even get into it. It's so complicated, good, bad, and indifferent. It's got all the aspects of being fake, being created, being wrong, and being a lie. But it is killing people. So, does that fit into loving people? How many people say, I give unconditional love to the world? You know what that means? You're full of bullshit. Love to nothing or everything when you don't even know what it is useless. Giving love to somebody, is it beneficial? You can go to a dying patient on his dying bed. Oh, I love you. Does that help that person in any way? Oh, he loves me. I'm dying. Oh, I'm going to take it with me. He loved me. She loved me. What does it really do for a person? When you're in bed having sex, oh, I love you. I love you. And what words do people scream while they're making love and stuff? They put God in it, Jesus. They put all kinds of words in there. So what are they talking about? They have no clue. Because love is not words. Sex is not love in itself at any level. So I want to just throw a couple things into it right now. Like aliens. They're real. Are they going to help us? Are they going to be beneficial? Are they going to make us move forward spiritually? No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not going to help us. All right. All the races. There has to be some good races. Good in what way? Are humans good in any way? Are we good? Oh, well, what? What is a human good for? To the world, I mean. If humans were beneficial to the world and to each other, there would be no starving children. Children would be sold into sex rings and sex slaves and every other thing that they're doing to girls, and you name it, it's all perverted. And school kids are more ignorant because they're programmed to be that way. Sex, drugs, and you name it. What do you think's happening to this world? It's one giant perversion of sex and drugs. Well, I don't do drugs and I'm in love. With what? The idea of being in love. This woman I dealt with used to say, saying you don't want something and saying I don't want to want that again is still wanting because you're still saying it. And and I'm going to say this, people. I went through a lot, probably more than most people will ever go through in their lifetime. Suicide, near-death experiences. I had 5. Out-of-body experience. I spent many, many years next to an alien, next to Bigfoot. Where do you want to go? Are any of them beneficial to the human race or to me? You're going to hear people say, well, Bigfoot helped them. Oh, they work with Bigfoot. Oh, they work with aliens. Oh, they did this. They did that. The government works with aliens. Do you think people need to hear that? We want disclosure. We want disclosure. Of what? The truth or more lies? Do you know what a tic tac is? Just what it sounds like, a tic tac. I was with somebody, we used to have pictures of real ships from 96 to like 2001. and we split up. But we had pictures of real ships, what they looked like. So were they Tic Tacs? No, they were ships. They looked like ships. They moved like ships. Most of them move faster than the speed of light. I'm not going to get into that. But they're not slow moving balls and like going over a city saying hi and waving or nothing like that. Or how we say China or Russia had ships coming over us. They were advanced in 1950. No, they weren't. Their UFOs just hovered above the ground, barely get off the ground. Oh, we traveled. No, they didn't travel. Go to 1952, the year I was born. Over the White House, a fleet of ships came over it. A fleet of ships came over it a couple of days, different days during 1 week. The government couldn't do one thing about it, but the president said, hey, I'm creating something to deal with that. And it was called MJ-12. And they're still in power today. And they get more money than any other organization. Do they make money? Somehow they do. I don't even know. I know some of the things about them. I was friends with one of them. But what do they do for mankind? Make sure we don't hear the garbage. Hear what they're really doing. What aliens are really doing. Do you want to know? Tune into my show. Every Tuesday, I do a show with Tina Bird. She's been abducted half of her life. And she's got multiple things going on in her life now and always did. So she's one of the people that have really been abducted. I worked with people many years ago that lost their children at almost 9 months pregnant. They went in the hospital to get their sonogram done to see what the child was. The next day, it disappeared. When she went back to the hospital, there wasn't a trace of her being pregnant even. Was it a dream? No, it wasn't a dream because I saw the pictures and stuff. A few different women I was working with then. I'm talking about many years ago. Do you want to know how many people get abducted on a daily basis right now? Do you want to know how many people disappear and never come back from an abduction? Go out. There's books on state parks and how many people disappear in a state park. I mean, you fall off a cliff, your body's laying there. Something like that. Really? A gang, you'll find bodies turning up here and there. Cars just left there and the families are gone. So there's things happening. Do you want the truth? You want fairy tales. The good aliens are coming. Good aliens are coming. They're going to save us. They're going to do good things for us. They never did. Never. People, you're going to wake up. You're going to listen to these morons. Well, the government's going to make fear and try to make us hate aliens. Well, can you give us a reason why we should love them? Seriously. You believe any of the stories, the Anunnaki story, the mantis, and the reptilian stories and all that. Do you want to know the truth behind any of it? You want to sit in there and say, well, the good ship's coming. It's not coming. It didn't come. And when they came, it was to destroy and change and destroy our abilities to be aware beings. Now, I'm going to go into the aspects of love and death. Love of life is important for what reason? Love of death is important because you're going to go there sooner or later, no matter what you do. Now, in this world, in the United States, you can't commit suicide. Well, if there was something good to live for, maybe you wouldn't want to commit suicide. When you lose somebody you love, okay, if you truly think you love them, what do you think you can do? Oh, I'm going to go find another one to love and I'll love them just as much. No, you won't. Love is a one-time thing, whether you believe that or not as well. Everything's trying to reflect off of that, bounce off of. I'm sure if you're in love and you got beat, you don't want that love again. Obviously, you don't. But when you stood there and took the beatings, when you lived in that relationship, you stayed there. You know, I'm not going to go into the steps I'm falling in love, being in a relationship. All I can tell you, it's a simple word. It's called percentage. Percentage of how much you're willing to give to a relationship to make it work. If you give 100%, the relationship could work if the other party gives you 100% back. If they give you 25, 50, 75, even 98% back, that 2% could destroy your relationship. I'm going through things now that I never expected to go through at this time in my life. Why? When you become part of a family, a relationship, and friends and all that, it's called karma. You get pulled into their karma, and their karma affects you. Same as yours affects them. Do we have good karma? Very few people have good karma because they're going to reincarnate again. And they did over and over. Now, I'm going to explain my scenario. I was alive in Atlantis. The only time planet Earth was in the most perfect state it was ever in. There were 9 alien races. We were part of it, living on this planet. And we were different colors, but I mean, it wasn't like, well, you're black, I'm white, I'm red, they're yellow. No, it was 9 colors, including purple, blue, green, crystal. All right. And we lived together in perfect harmony. But guess what? Certain aliens didn't like that idea. Now, and then here's something that I'm going to throw in, which I mentioned. Demons, the devil, Satan, not Lucifer. Satan is the one that controls most of the people on this planet. Whether you believe it or not, it controls most of the alien races, whether you believe it or not. It dwells over the lower realm, planet Earth and the universes that are in this realm. Basically, anything you do that's negative is allowed because it allows it to give it to you. Or its dominion, which is the universe, and its little entities that work for it, all give the same thing. Give you what you think you want. Because nobody really wants God. People in religions only want the reflection of an idea of what God is, which is a twisted, programmed idea. The idea that God forgives you, watches over you, protects you, is a bullshit story. I stand before God. Whatever I say is unto God and responsible to God alone. Nobody else. Not Lucifer, Satan, or the angels, or the demons, or anything. Nothing else. Can I be abducted? No. Can I be attacked by anything other than the government? No. I mean, in the physical reality, I could be attacked by people. Because I'm in this stupid clay shell, which is useless, really. Oh, I get around. Get around. Yeah, it sounds like a song. Get around. But so what? Do you learn things when you travel? When you say, oh, I learned. I became more aware. I'm more spiritual. What does that mean, people? Nothing. Spiritual means what to you? You love people. You send unconditional love around the world. What? You love God? You can't love something if you don't know what it is. Then you should love Satan as much as you love God. But you don't know what either one of them are. So your concept is programs of people's twisted minds that gave the same program they were fed. Muhammad stood before Gabriel. Gabriel told him a bunch of stuff. Angels aren't teachers, people. They're way showers, and they bring the truth, and they bring a warning sign. All right? They're not here to teach us. When Jesus was alive, he didn't have his angels teaching anybody. Mary Magdalene had to finish teaching the disciples. Nobody else. Nobody else could. And here's something, people. Love was created in the year 1 when Jesus showed what love was. How do you show people what love is? By action, And what kind of actions would prove to somebody else that you love somebody? By kissing them, having sex with them? What would prove you love somebody? Usually it would be having a child. And Mary Magdalene had a daughter, which belonged to Jesus. Jesus never met her in a physical body. But you don't want to hear that. You want to believe the twisted lies and the programs. People go out of their way to create fake history for us, including aliens. In case you don't know a word, look up unidentified missing place object out of place. All right. It's an out of place artifact in time, in the wrong place in time. Meaning something that shouldn't be in the time where it is, where it's found. All right. It couldn't exist, and it doesn't exist when it was found at that time frame. All right. The person I did UFO work with, he had a knife encased in a rock. The knife was made in like 1897, somewhere around there. And the rock was 500 years old. So how could that happen? It couldn't have. Out of place artifact means it was put there by something called aliens. They could do that with cities. They could do that with anything. To rearrange our history to make us believe what they want us to believe in. Aliens have been doing time travel way more than we have. We only did it in 1947. And that technology was given to Tesla. All right? By an alien race. Do you want the truth? Do you want to sit there and your puffed up ideas of what's true, what people say, what whistleblowers say? If any of them had one shred of evidence, it would be incredible, wouldn't it? A person that loves life, loves God, doesn't go out lying to people for any reason. Do I have a reason to lie to you? No. Do I have a reason to tell you the truth? Yes, I do. Because I know you're not going to listen anyway. But in the Emerald Tablets, the book says by Dorothy Atlantean, which is a twisted story by the Anunnaki, when you listen to that story, brought mankind here. He was allowed by the Council of Nine, which is 9 race beings, which allow what happens in the lower realms. I'm not talking about the deities. They're separate. Deity is a god. Little gods of each realm. And there's multiple realms to get out of this lower realm, the lower realms of hell. Or, well, hell is only the astral plane and the physical plane. Then you go into the mind plane, the etheric plane, and then you get into the higher realms of God's higher worlds. And then you split from soul. Soul can only go up to the soul plane, which is the 5th plane. Count them. And the way you can count them is by the gods you have to go past to get into each one. Bullshit for anyone that says they can go anywhere without knowing that. You can't get past the astral plane if you have a silver cord attached to you. Well, I don't see it. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It's put on every soul that dwells in the astral plane that leaves their body from the physical plane until something happens. People want lies. Tune into every other show out there. Pull up any of those, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle. Pull them all up. Listen to their stories. Oh, just think positive. Live in the moment. Live in the now. You're everything you are supposed to be. Are you? You're nothing. You're programmed to believe you're something. Do you know God? If you don't know God, what God really is, you know nothing. Are you listening? I'm sure you're not. You know, inside right now, I'm going through so many things in life. What I see, what I feel, what I know, what's happening around me. It's sad. And it seems like every day it gets sadder. Not because I wanted to. I would love to see families. I start crying if I see a family really working in a love condition where they love each other, respect each other, and do everything in harmony. And you kind of feel and know that it's real. I worked as a plumber for a while, and I worked for the phone company for a while. But when I was in a phone company, I went in about 10 houses a day, 360 days a year. Do you know how many families I saw over a year's time? And I worked for them 20 years. A lot of families. Do you know, in all that time, do you know how many families I saw that I could say, wow, they're really beautiful, loving families? Probably can count them on my hands. I watched all the horrible things in between, everyone. And the so-called situations, the richer they are, the worse they are. And when Jesus said it, I repeated everything I do. It's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to go into heaven. He said it many times. Because it's true. Do you think Oprah, who claims she has no karma, she claims she has no ego. And what does she do? What does she care about? Making money. Now there's people like Van Pran, a psychic. I wrote him a letter, but he doesn't accept letters, so you can't even write back to him to tell him he's an asshole. You know, when people do things and say things, when they got money, it's harder to get to them. Because then they say, well, everybody's out to attack me. People attack people for one reason, usually. You know what that reason is? Because they're telling the truth. Look at the most spiritual people all through history. I spent 2 years doing that. 90% were killed. A couple were poisoned and lived through it. Only a very few died of actual causes in their 80s and things like that. But when you go into like people like Gandhi, I'll put Jesus into that part of it, but not because he was the most spiritual person who walked this planet, but his own people or their own people helped kill them or just kill them. Now, you know, if you had a teacher and you knew they were spiritual and you were following them and you were learning something from them, would you ever possibly think of killing them? The problem is, truth is not being released with whatever their teachings are. Most people want a following. Sai Baba had one of the biggest followings on the planet. He did fake magic tricks to win people over and make them believe he was real. Sri Chinmoy, who's out of California, who I met way back, and his claim is he'll tell you who you were in your past life. How many people can prove that he wasn't real or true or what it was, whether it was real or not? I doubt any of them. Or they wouldn't even be going to asking him or letting him tell them that if they knew what it was in the first place. But his fame, on the cover of one of his books, he's holding up like 750 pounds with one hand. So his ego is showing his power. He's saying he can give you your truth. Right there, he's coming from a negative point. I'm not telling you have to find your truth to understand it. Because whatever I tell you will be my truth. What I'm saying right now is my truth. But it's all I have. But I hope by giving you it, you can find your own. I'm not making you pay me for what I'm telling you. I could charge you $1 billion. I mean, I won't come up with his name. Savage, I think his name was Savage or something. Charged $50,000 to go under him, to be with him one day. He claims he could heal anybody burnt anywhere on the planet if they call him within 5 minutes of getting burnt. Claims he was the last of the certain race on this planet and things like that. All right. I'm waiting for a debate with a person. I'm not going to say his name. Claims he's the top mystic on the planet. I know he's a liar because of what he said personally, directly. So, you know, am I a rebel? I'm a rebel hardcore. Do I believe in love? Yes, of God. Love of family relationships? I want to try to get into that. If I have time, I will. Why I'm here in this lifetime. Now, once you find that out, it's easy to take the next step. But not here on this planet. Once you realize your soul, what it is, what it can do, why would you want to stay in a rat's hole? Or a den of thieves? I mean, you can call it hell, whatever you want to call it. This is that. You don't go into a worse place than here. Now, like Dante's Inferno, when he talks about the different levels of hell, well, we got all those levels here right now. You could freeze to death, you could burn up, you could watch pain and suffering, you could see your own children suffer and die, you can watch your family die, and you can feel yourself dying. Could it get worse than that? I doubt it. Love, is it helping you? You know, it gives us satisfaction. Why? Because you know that the feelings and emotions of the body. Well, when you cry or when you're really happy, you cry, right? Why are they two separate things that do the same result? The feelings and emotions are very connected to the opposite and to everything other than what it really is. Because it's connected to the brain. And the brain is a programmed object which inside your brain, which, I mean, your brain has that little chip in there that kind of runs it, that stores all the information. Even though your brain gets a wrinkle for every thought you learn. So a baby's born with a real smooth brain, and when you get old, you got a real wrinkled up brain with a bunch of wrinkles that you really don't need. When we go back to religions, I'm going to go back. Now, sorry, people, I'm going to go around in circles. Religions, Christianity. They take the most spiritual person to walk this planet, Jesus. Sorry, people, nobody was more important, more beneficial to the planet than he was. If people could hear what he even said, which they didn't. And after he was killed, they killed most of the other disciples around him. Thomas and his wife, Mary, both left the country, traveled. Thomas went to India, was teaching Jesus' teachings in India. Really? So, you know, does the Bible talk about that? Then you hear books where Jesus wasn't really killed. If Jesus was not killed, he would have no proof and no reason to be here. Well, life after death. What would that mean without proof? If you can't prove it to yourself, it's useless. Now, he didn't come to take away everybody's sin, or the world would have been sinless. Well, I give my sins over. Read Revelations. That was written by his disciple John, who wrote Revelations, and read what he says about sin. The Ten Commandments, which Moses couldn't even follow, which Moses did not follow, and then he didn't like them, so he created 613 more. Do you want history? Do you want the facts? Or you want to live in La La Land? Oh, La La Land's nice because I love everybody. I'm happily married and I got lots of money. And you're a fool. You know nothing about God. You know nothing about death. You know nothing about reincarnation. And you think you have awareness of what? Well, I got a good job. What do? I serve liquor. What do? Make bullets. What do? Pour chemicals on the ground. What do? Do I need to say every single one of them? How many help the world? Well, I do fracking. Is that beneficial to the world? I spray chemtrails. Is that beneficial to the world? What do you do that's beneficial to the world? Well, I tell people I love them. Really? So twisted, egotistical in his own consciousness, he'll never see the truth. He doesn't want to. And then we got more people going out there telling him the same lies to reprogram it to make sure that he stays within the program. Or use are all important. To who? To the starving children on the planet? which is about 90% of the women and children starving on this planet? Really? And you're compassionate? You're loving? You're giving? To who? Well, I feed my dog, and I have to have lobster for dinner tonight, though. Where do you go? I mean, I worked in a phone company, I told you, for a long time. It was the old people that were more compassionate, just for the idea of being an older person and aware. I got more tips from older people than any other kind of people. I never took it. If I could, I would, when they turn their back, I'd roll it into a ball and throw it on their desk or something. Because I know somewhere down the road they're going to need that $1, $2, whatever it was. All right. We can go a lot of different ways. But the idea of love being important. I'm going to tell you a sad story. Mine. My book is my biography. My first book was How to See God. My second book was When Truth Was Called Crazy. But that was my autobiography of part of my most important things in my life. All right. But I go into the detail in that, which if you want to read, I'll give it to you as an ebook for free. I went through things nobody would ever want to go through. And I mean that seriously. I'm not talking about being in a prison camp or things like that. I'm talking about being in reality, in a situation where it was worse than that. I can go into that story, but read my book. I dealt with the highest black magicians on this planet alive today. I worked with the most so-called spiritual people on this planet. I also worked with the top psychic in the United States, who was my best friend. And she was real. And then it comes down to husband saying, you can't do that. Because any second that she spent away from him, he was mad. So she had to give it all up. But we used to do ghost busting together in New York and New Jersey. We did a lot of she did the channel and I did the work and bringing it all out and stuff. We could get people that were killed, like one of the Stones. We found facts and things. We went to the libraries and searched out things. She was real. And she wasn't given credit because psychics weren't really recognized as important people. Ram Prang's a multi-billionaire and a millionaire. I write him letters, can't get to him. All these so-called people in the UFO world that are talking, they get $20,000 to talk for 2 hours. They say, well, the good alien ship's coming, and they're traveling here, they'll be here soon. What are they going to tell you? That all aliens are here for one reason? No, they all have an agenda. And their agenda is not our agenda. Religions all have an agenda of a program that was created within that religion to keep them controlled to a certain situation. Now, when Muslims come into the United States, they're trying to change the United States laws. And if people aren't aware of that, you better become aware, otherwise you'll be living under the Sharia law. And that's not good for women. And I'm telling you that straight out. Well, anybody wants to come into this country, become part of our country. Michael Salla, one of the UFO people, writes books about our secret government, how bad they are and everything else. I told him to go back to his country. He said, I'm going to block you. I said, do what you got to do. So he just blocked me recently. But he's in Hawaii where I am. And he's so twisted, he created a base here where the ships can land. And they dedicated it to a landing point for aliens. Because they dedicated it there. Aliens going to land there? Really? They don't land there. They don't want to land somewhere where people are going to watch them and say, hey, we're waiting for you to come out. They land in the ocean here. They do land on the mountains and things like that. Seen over the ocean. So, for me, getting back to, I said I go around in circles. I'm sorry about that. All right. I came back to this world for a reason. Not a mission, a reason. All right. I had many reincarnations. I know all of them, all the way back to Atlantis and one before that. Now, out of all of them, I only consider 2 of them important. You know, when you take 100, 200 lifetimes and you say only 2 of them important, what do you think you were doing in all those other lifetimes? Absolutely nothing. Living in the fantasy, the dream, the illusion. Playing the game, stuck in the matrix. The first time I said was Atlantis. And in Atlantis, it was incredible. We had 32 psychic abilities. We didn't have to eat. We didn't have to talk. We didn't have to do a lot of things. You couldn't steal, couldn't lie, couldn't cheat, couldn't do any of those things either. And then 2 races came down and destroyed it. All right. My second one, which I consider the second or most important in my life, was when Jesus was alive. People, whether you want to hear this or not, I'm going to tell you. Because there's a few things people need to know which they might not ever accept because they're programmed. Now, I was a priest, I was a minister, I was a rabbi, I was everything you could possibly think of in all my lifetimes. Learning nothing about a real God. Nothing! All right? When I was born, when Jesus was alive, I was a female. I was a goddess. I became rich goddess in the temple. Oh, that's the ego. No, it's not. I spent my time with Mary Magdalene. She was my closest friend. So guess what? I got to be with Jesus his last month while he was alive. But I also got to see Jesus' child before Mary and the daughter had to leave and go underground for a long period of time before they could get out of the country. But she had to finish teaching all the disciples what Jesus couldn't teach them. Now, people, if you think teaching love is a way or a thing, where are the classes on how to teach love right now? And what are they really teaching? Can a person describe love of people? It would be simple. All right, giving, compassion, and always bending over. All right. When Jesus left, his disciples were left at a place where they didn't even believe what he was teaching. If he didn't come back from the dead, his whole teaching to them would have meant nothing. You know, I'm getting on a boat and I'm leaving. What would it do for the disciples that he was trying to teach about life after death? Nothing. But if you're brain dead and you're programmed and you don't care about those kind of things. Well, Jesus was an alien. Really? Immaculate Conception. Who put that out there? Jesus had brothers and sisters. Well, you can say whatever you want. You know, there's a show on TV, a young girl is pregnant, and they don't even know how they got pregnant. Guess what? They didn't have precautions and stuff in those days either, did they? But I don't want to get into that. Jesus was born a real body, real person. Except he was guided by God. He actually went into disappearance for a long period of time to become more aware and learn what that meant. And it was through ascension, one of the only people on this planet that went through it, asshole people, thinking you're all going through ascension and you attained it. What did you attain? Do you know one thing about a real God? Anything. I challenge anybody on this planet right now. What do you know about God? The one that's created all this. Nothing. It's all an illusion. It's all. You know nothing. Religions don't teach anything about it. Moses was a fool. Moses was a killer. He didn't even know what he was doing when he was walking his people around in circles. He didn't know. He still thought the promised land was a piece of property somewhere. If you know anything about the Pax, when they got there, they killed everybody that was there to take it over. Is that spiritual? Does that go along with the Ten Commandments, which he was supposed to be preaching? And why do you think the Ark of the Covenant was never found? Do you know when they used it in wartime to kill both sides, it just didn't kill the enemy? We don't want to talk about that, though. That's too far out of your mainstream belief system. All right. Getting back to the point, what did Jesus come here to teach? Not forgiveness. Hinduism had it directly right. Karma, K-A-R-M-A, karma. What you do, how you do it, creates or uncreates karma. Karma meaning has to be paid before you go into the next realm. The astral plane is not the next realm. The astral plane is part of this realm. All souls go there when they die, if they're even aware enough to leave planet Earth. We got so many ghosts and spirits haunting planet Earth because they don't know what to do or have any clue how to do anything other than that. Ghost Whisperer was cool because it was like she was saying, well, they need help to get out of here. And they do, if they're ready to listen. And many are not. And you can't force a soul to do anything. Blowing incense on them or blowing dust over them or saying, in the name of somebody, be gone. Doesn't get rid of ghosts or spirits. Even when the movie The Exorcist came out, that was based on a real story about a couple priests that were trying to do an exorcism on this boy, and 2 priests got killed during it. And that's why they stopped doing exorcisms, because they didn't know what they were doing and still don't. Recently, they hired 1,500 people to do exorcisms because they figured they might find somebody that can do them. I have a good friend, that's all he does. For real, over the phone, any which way. But there's more to it. And just thinking the name of Jesus is going to protect you from demons, if you don't know something, it's not going to help you. Oh, in the name of Mother Teresa, in the name of Moses, in the name of Buddha, protect me. Is that going to help you any which way? Your love of truth is the love of lies, because there is very little truth. Now, the United States is being molded into this. The 2 major topics changing it is the gay movement and the black movement. Like, it's all part of one, and we all should respect each other the same, and all those kind of things. Well, we don't need morals. Why? Because you need to do what you want to do. Do you have freedom? You can change your sex, but you can't smoke? Does that make sense? You live by stupid, programmed ideas by rich fools that think they have the right to program you. And now with Mr. Musk and Gate and all these other people playing God on humans, it's scary. Now, pull up the people who own the patents on the vaccines and things like that. You'll be surprised. I'm not going to tell you. Do it. Do research. You're going to find out incredible, horrible things if you try to look. The things that everything you'll be told and said and hear is a lie. Are they going to tell you what aliens are doing? No. I was doing past life regression when I was young, working with people, doing psychic implant removals and things like that. Most people have missing time, so they don't have a clue what went down. They just know they lost 3-4 hours. Some people lost 2 days. A woman I lectured with lost a month. She worked for the government. She went to the moon supposedly with the army, and there was 2 aliens on the ship. She was getting raped on the ship by the government, not the army, not the aliens. You know, the stories are so out there, but can they help anybody get in touch with the truth? No, they can't. Because nobody's searching for the real truth. The universe isn't our truth. The galaxy is not our truth. Stars and planets are not our truth. Whether aliens were there, whether they're here and now, whether they came and went, what they're going to do should be part of your attention right now. Not that you can do anything about it, because the government can't. But the government has been fighting with aliens right now, in space and on the ground. And they can't talk about that, because then suddenly people suddenly realize there should be fear out there. And, oh, the good aliens are here. It's not bad. The government's trying to force fear on us. Really? It's not like that, people. It's all lies. Do you know that I've been in the election world and in the UFO world all my life? Since I was 6 years old. I didn't want to be there. Didn't want to be pulled into it. But I was. Am I happy about it? No. Am I dealing with it? Yes. The lies are humongous. There were aliens here. People got killed by them. Sorry, I'm just so itchy all of a sudden. This world is so screwed up right now. Can Biden help people? Giving them some money will help for a while. You can't have two parties hate each other. If aliens don't like us, what good are they to us? No good. So, people, I'm going to go back to the love story. I was alive with Mary Magdalene. I saw Jesus. The reason why I came back in this lifetime, I'm not going into the bad, horrible details about certain things as well, but I watched it go down. His own followers denied him, attacked him, and condemned him. What's it tell you about mankind? If you look into a person's eyes, and you could say they're spiritual beings, why would you not want to listen? I wish I could meet one person like that today. I only met 2 people like that in my whole life. And something that you'll know, if you ever attain it, if you're God aware, all right? Anybody else that is can see that within you, and you could see that within them. It's a given. You know why? Their aura radiates around them. Not like 2 inches or 6 inches, like multiple feet. All right? And you can see the light. I'm not even going into those details. But when I was with Jesus and I watched his disciples destroy him, I didn't have to run, but I wasn't attacked either. They were going after males that followed Jesus. They weren't going after females that followed Jesus. You were not allowed to pray what Jesus was teaching. You were killed and put on a cross. The Bible doesn't go into detail because, people that want to hide. The United States, the black people are forcing the United States people to eliminate anything that pertained to what really happened. And the poor Native people suffer because nobody cares what happened to them. Nobody wants to know the truth of what happened to them. They're erased. They own the United States, if you say own a property, if you want to believe that. They were here first. And the Hopi people were the first race ever to live and be on planet Earth in the United States. And they lived underground. They came out to meet people. I don't know why. It was the worst move they ever made. But the Hopi people were never warring people, even though the government tried to get the Lakota people, the Apaches, and everybody to fight each other. Didn't work. It never happened. I mean, little battles, but not major wars. The Hopi people never fought. The Zapotec people never fought either. And they were probably the most spiritual people in the United States. I'm not saying the Hopi people weren't. Uh, I don't know much, a lot of their teachings. I know some of it. This was Thomas Binyaka, right before he died. He was the oldest Hopi elder who carried the Hopi prophecy, which the Hopi prophecy is almost exact to the Tibetan prophecy. The colors might be different, red and black symbols, where they're both on the opposite side of the planet. Probably the good and when the energy comes into the planet, both sides. But they're both persecuted, both being killed, and the prophecy was, if the white man doesn't unite with the red man, the world will be destroyed. And that was in Hopi prophecies written in underground caves. All right. What's it have to do with love? A lot. The Hopi people respected a god. They had a different god, one of the lower deities. But as long as you're higher than the Esther plane, you're doing good. There's 3 deities on the Esther plane. Lucifer's there as well. I mean, 2 of the main ones is Jehovah and Satnam. All right. What happens there when you go past the Esther plane into the next realm, if you can't vibrate at a certain level, you can't get there. If you don't, I just saw somebody in the chat room, they don't know much. That's fine. Listen to what I have to say. If you can get anything out of it, more power to you. But I can go in as deep as the truth as you want, because people really don't want it. All right. Now, Jehovah was the name of God from Moses. Satnam was the name of God for the Hindu religions. They're not just the deities, they're the God itself. All right. Which to them was the highest. It's like saying, I'm going to go to college, but I'm going to go to the highest person in kindergarten. Is that going to help you? No. As long as you know there's another step to take, you can take it. All right. So when you get to the higher realms, and you're dealing with Durga, who dwells on the 5th plane, female, not the Durga written in the text of Hinduism. Because mankind doesn't understand God and never will. And they have to put their limitations of their own awareness on it. I challenge a person on this planet to say what spiritual means. And the only thing it means is being aware of God. Nothing else. Not, well, I'm vibrating. You're vibrating, I don't know how to say what you're vibrating at. Because it's sure nothing spiritual. Oh, well, I'm spiritual because I'm a 6-dimensional being. Yeah? Can you disappear and raise a mountain? Can you do anything, supposedly so? You know, people live in a delusion of thinking and feeling and telling themselves they're better. You're in hell. Until you get out of it, you're in no place. My favorite movie on TV was called Lucifer. Some ignorant friend of mine says, oh, you said you love Lucifer. You oxymoron. I said I love the show. And Lucifer was the greatest character. I'm not saying it was 100% accurate. It was anything but that. But it was a relationship to how mankind could relate to Lucifer in their twisted way. Like he was so bad, but he was trying to be good. But you know, the idea of it was fun, exciting, and it made me feel good. That's all. Lucifer, I don't deal with Lucifer. I met him. Like I said, he's a god on the astral plane. And his mission is to make sure everything that Satan's trying to do and keep down here doesn't get up into that realm and go past it. Because we don't want creatures, I call them bad people, going beyond the astral plane. Because those planes get incredible. If you ever attain 3rd level awareness, going past the astral plane, you'll be amazed what it, you know, the wording of crystal cities and all those things, you can fantasize about them. But to really go there and be there and stay there is different. And even that changes as you move forward. What you are changes, meaning male and female changes on the astral plane when you come back here. Go beyond that. When sex and genitalia are gone, guess what? That no longer means anything to you. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. Eating isn't there. Take those things away. You don't know much more than that. Sports, hobbies, and if you take that away, what do you have left to think about? See, that's where the truth is missing in many details. But it's your choice. You can sit in La La Land, think you're spiritual, think you're a high dimensional being, you went through ascension, and live in the bull. That's your choice. You could start looking for the truth and finding it, and then moving into that, and then you can leave planet Earth. Oh, I don't want to leave planet Earth. Well, that's because you're attached to it. And if you're attached to anything, you're never going to get to a higher spiritual place. I mean, when Jesus told his disciples to leave their family, there was a reason. Not because he felt like breaking them up because he wanted to just break them up. There's always a reason, whether you find it or not, it's your choice. Well, I'm going to finish my story before I end today. After I saw Jesus killed, 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 I could not understand the concept of love. The most spiritual person. You looked into his eyes, you could look into universes and everything else. It was incredible. But to see people kill him, that were working with him, dealing with him, pretending to be with him. And then I had to reflect on, what is it all about? I mean, he showed love. He was the first person to teach love, people. Love did not exist before that. All right. The Ten Commandments doesn't say love in it, does it? All right. Well, when I saw that, I could have moved on. I had all the rights, the okay to move on. And I said, I don't understand that. I don't understand people. And today, I understand people even less. They're more ignorant than I could ever imagine. They're thoughtless. They're uncaring. All those words fit almost everybody. Oh, I love you. I'll help you. I'll do this. I'll do that. But when you need somebody to talk to, is there anybody really there that can listen to you? No, there isn't. No two people are on the same wavelength ever. It's like you draw a circle. There's 360 degrees within it. Each one's separate. Each one can't merge into the other one. If they all merge into one, there would be no direction. But again, when Jesus came here and he was teaching what he was teaching, which was a teaching. How do you teach love or anything for a period of time? What do you teach about love? How can you go deeper into it? A person has to experience it. The same as a person has to experience an alien to understand that aliens are real. All these UFO people, very few of them even saw a UFO or were next to one, never mind saw an alien. And they're going on and on about, well, this person said, and they make it sound like it's their experience when it's not. And they have no clue. The people that had the experiences, how many of them are completely aware what happened? Travis Walton, Fire in the Sky, is unaware of most of what happened. Well, like I said, I'm here now to realize, and that's why I'm doing this show, love is not the answer. God is. Love isn't. God is love. God is not love, people. If God loved everything the way people believed it, the world would be incredible. People wouldn't get sick. People wouldn't get hurt. People would love each other, and that would be it. But that's not the truth, is it? The world is anything but that. We're warring creatures, sexual creatures, drug addicts. I mean, where are we compassionate, loving beings aware of love and God? The programmed idea of God is so locked out from being close to the truth. I did many shows about comparing your God to God itself. All right, people, that's where I'm at right now. Looking for the time clock to tick out, serving out my time. Sure, you can do things. I could do things to create incredible karma, and I'd have to come back. Right now, I'm at the point where I don't have to, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't create the worst karma to make me come back again. And I'm not going to the astral plane either. I have a world I created. When you get up into the higher world, you create your realities and everything that goes on within that. Kind of like to being a dream master, which is a lot closer to what you truly are than this victim in this body in a car that's going to die out. So, people, I hope you got something out of this. All right. My email is hawksblood1 AOL.com. Questions, answers. I'm going to be doing a workshop. I keep saying it, but I have a bunch of different things going on right now. I'm trying to get through. I might not. I'm not sure how it's going to go in the next month or two. But the workshop's pretty set up. I'll go into every aspect of soul, death, life, reincarnation, God. In detail, which nobody can do. I haven't heard one person talk about God at any high level. I think God's loving, compassionate, God protects you. No, God's not a forgiving God either. I mean, you heard the phrase, God's a jealous God. God's not a jealous God either. Whoever came up with that oxymoron statement? God's not jealous. It stuck us in hell until we get out of it. That's not jealous. Believing good, bad, and things that happen because God's jealous of you is ridiculous. You're creating it all by your own actions, your own thoughts, your own things, the things that you do. Well, again, the truth is out there. Very few people will tell you what it is or even help you find it. But you need to find it. All right, this is one of the longest shows I did in a while. And when I do the workshop, I'll probably do it for 2 weekends in a row. I kind of feel I have to charge something, otherwise people think it's worth nothing. And it won't be a lot. Just to make a person say, hey, I'm paying for something. I'm going to get something for my money, which you will. I'm not talking about a lot of money like the conferences. People spend $2,000 or up to $4,000 or $5,000 to go to a UFO conference for a week, to go home with fairy tales. And that's it. What a sad place to be, to go, to spend money. I lectured at a bunch and watched people and dealt with it. And sure, you got people coming up to you and asking stupid questions always. I did native dancing for, sorry about this, but I did native dancing for almost 30 years. And you know, at every powwow I was at, I'd have white people come up to me and say, well, they're not real native people, are they? I said, why? Well, they got tattoos. I got tattoos. They go, well, they got tattoos. I said, because they have tattoos, they're not native people? Well, native people didn't have tattoos. I said, who said so? Well, then we kill all the native people? I said, who said that? So you listen to what people, I'm talking most of the adults. They don't teach native history at any good level in schools, but adults have no knowledge. Going through their whole life and of what happened to the native people, they have no knowledge of what really went down. So when you dance, when I dance for a week usually, or 3 days, whatever the powwow was. I danced on the reservation. Somebody paid $500 for me to dance on it. I don't even know who did. But listen to people say dumb things. I mean, how the ignorance of teaching Where does teaching teach people anything important? It doesn't. Where does religion teach anything important? It doesn't. So you think the world's going to move to a better place anytime soon? Unless aliens come down and say, do this, we're not going to stop doing what we're doing with weapons and stuff. Unless somebody, spiritual people don't survive. They are killed by people. Even people trying to bring truth out. All right, people. You got my email address. Text me. Send you my first 2 books if you're interested. How to See God and When Truth is Called Crazy. They're old. I have them as an ebook. I'll give them to you for free. I believe I have to say and talk about what is in the moment for me now, always. I try not to hold on to ones I did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Because right now is the moment of what we're doing to the world and what's happening. And we're screwing it so bad. So, people, I want you to send this link to everybody you know. If you even liked it, if you're still here, amazing. I don't think too many people can listen to truth too long without getting sick. It's like people that like lies. They'll listen to it forever. They'll go to a conference all day and listen to people lie all day. And if somebody was telling the truth, they'd walk out of it and go home. So with that, people, whatever you need in your life, love, compassion, truth, I hope you get it. Hope you find it. Hope you find out where it comes from and what it really means. But till then, I'll be here until I'm taken out. You heard it here, Rev.Hawksblood, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. I'm sure you watch the news. Maui is getting hit. It's never been that bad. Flooding out everywhere and people. Oh, it's sad. But till next time, people. You heard it here. Pleasant dreams. If it's nighttime for me. Happy day if it's a new day for you. Pleasant, whatever. Rev.Hawksblood signing out.